Boomer Guitar Sessions, episode 78. Today, we're going to build off of what we did in episode 77. Episode 77, we asked the question, do I need to learn how to read? And if so, what kind of mindsets do I want to incorporate into my thought? Because you got to have some mindset together to get, that's my opinion, but it's absolutely true. You got to see the bigger picture sometimes when we're getting into reading. All right, so with that said, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a classic book and an infamous book, because a lot of times in my history and in the history of the people I know, this book, this Mel Bay Grade 1, the Mel Bay method is seen by many people, myself included at various times, as a book of punishment that I would give to somebody, and I'm kidding when I say this, as a form of punishment, because they view it as boring. I think where I'm at with it now, if it's boring, it's because you're approaching it the wrong way. And the stuff that's in it is important. We just got to build off of it. We got to go in with the right mindset. And today what we're going to do is revitalize the way we look at Mel Bay Book One, Grade 1. We're going to expand in an effort to expand our reading skills. All right, so with that said, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you 5 tips, 5 creative ways to expand your reading skills. Now, in the previous episode, what I said to get started in reading, one of the things you want to do is you want to learn about all the rhythms, whole, half, quarter, eighth notes, 16th notes, and triplets. Okay, you want to start getting familiar with that, getting your rhythm together right away. You can practice any of these songs in the book just from a rhythmic standpoint. So you see that there is the notation here, right? Practice just the rhythm without the pitches. Okay, so that is one of the things we can do, and that's before we even get started. Now, first tip, I would practice with the drum machine. I would practice with a drum machine or some sort of timekeeping device. If you have a backing track that's in the same key, that is great. Here's the thing: if you make your reading practice fun, you will practice reading. Okay, and you will hear the reasons why it is an important skill. If you practice it in a boring fashion, it will be boring, and you won't get a lot out of it. All right, so it's all mindset. All right, with that, so practicing with, you can do a metronome. I'm not a metronome guy, for reasons that I just think is more fun to play with something that I actually use in real life. But if you're playing in jazz, metronome's great because you can 2 and 4 the hi-hat with the click, and that's absolutely a metronome hack that we'll get into some other time. Sometimes I use a metronome, but oftentimes I use a drum machine or a drum machine app. So with that said, the drum machine app that I use, this is called Drum Genius. I absolutely love the Drum Genius. Okay, so what we could do is so here's this. So I use this as a metronome, and I'm looking at page 8 in Mel Bay. That, to me, I could do that all day. I have a drum. If I'm reacting to a drum, I'm also working on my timing. I'm working on my groove. I'm working on lots of things, not just reading. All right. So here's an important thing. Now, the limitation of Mel Bay Book One, and this is a limitation I think we can move past, and I implore that you should move past, because we need to get past open position. Okay, so the Mel Bay Book One, if you get up to page 21, you'll have hit all the open position stuff, all the open position natural notes up to page 21, and then it gets into reading chords and multiple notes at times. And so now, so my thing about that is, yes, you got to go through that. And again, some of these songs in the Mel Bay Book One you would probably find to be dry or boring. But here's the important thing. Know that the reading you're going to learn is going to better you. And you're going to be happy you did it. And it is only temporary. You get through the boring reading, what's going to happen, the boring songs, is that is going to, that's going to be easy. That you'll get that done, and then you can go to higher skills and level up. So you want to gamify your learning how to read. First level is, yeah, you got to do the boring stuff. All right. So the next step that I would do is I would like, okay, so this is what they want you to do in Mel Bay Book One. What I would do is I would learn to read that in as many positions as I can. So at least, and this requires you to get your fingerboard together, learn where your notes are. That's why the guitar can be a tricky thing, because that everything that I'm doing here, I'm playing that in 4 different places, that same exact phrase, and it can be played in more than that. So so anyway, so learn how to do this in other areas. So this is your E, this is an E. Get out of open position as quickly as you can. Do not stick to open position. Move up. Move up. You can practice in 5th position. You can practice in 2nd position. And by the way, when I say position, what we're talking about, say if I'm playing in the key of G major, where the 2nd finger, the fret before the 2nd finger, it dictates what position you're in. That is how positions work on guitar. The fret before the natural 2nd finger, that is the position you're in. So if my 2nd finger is on the 6th fret, that's 5th position. All right. So play it in different positions all over the neck. Do not, and then get into stuff that isn't higher. All right. So the next thing is, and this is fun. Okay, so like when you're reading a real book, and these are for the jazz players out there, and this took me a while to get used to thinking this way. When you see melodies written in the real book, they want you to play it in a musical way. Like depending on what kind of music it is, and depending on the application, and depending on all that stuff, you can have liberties. So like, how many different ways can we be really musical? We can talk about all the areas of exploration that we can do to make a melody cool and it not sound like an academic exercise. Things like when I would practice with rubato. Rubato kind of makes the time floaty and not as a. It's kind of like. Now that works like jazz and ballads, and it works for certain things. Sometimes you got to be dead accurate with your timing. So that's not going to work for everything. Legato versus staccato. Are we going to use hammer-ons and pull-offs? We can mess around with the phrasing of it on a creative angle. Okay, So that goes away from the reading, but slurs, hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides, all that kind of stuff. And then accents. Some notes get played louder than others. The idea of using and practicing and playing with dynamics. That is a great idea. That is a great, brings the music to life. And it depends on what kind of music we're playing, but that these principles, you want to make the music sound like something you want to listen to. Now, with that said, depending on what it is, sometimes it's just get it the way it's written. Okay, so don't go rubato on it, and don't make something staccato when it's supposed to be legato. And legato and staccato are kind of like, legato is like connected rhythmically, and staccato is like sharp and dun 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 dun. All right. Anyway, tip number 4. When you're practicing reading, you get, say, your first 21 pages. Then what I would do is go to the rest of this thing, and then go to the rest of the book, open to a page, and then practice reading. And here's another tip: go to your local like thrift shop, your Goodwill, and if you find any music there, snag it, and then you just try to read it. Or you can download these things off of various different websites. How do I get music off of a website that is not tablature? Okay, but the idea of practicing your sight reading is you're practicing the muscle of learning to read without any preparation. Okay, so you want to do lots of that. You get the rhythm together. If you get your rhythms right, and another really, really big tip is also get your scales together, your major scales, your natural minor scales. If I'm reading in second position, there are going to be notes in my second position G major scale if we're in a key of G. Okay, it depends. But get all your caged scales together. That'll help you learn to read all over the place. Another thing, okay, later on down the road, once we leave Mel Bay, learn to read on a single string. Arnie Burrell wrote a book many years ago, and I don't know if Arnie Burrell is still with us, but this book should be reproduced. This is an absolute monster of a book. This is kind of like the sight reading book to Mick Goodrick's Advancing Guitar Player, because what he said is let's practice learning to read on a single string, like Mick Goodrick. Okay, also we have Howard Roberts. He has a sight reading manual. Okay, what Howard Roberts says. Okay, so be able to visualize your positions. Know that is E, F, and G. Be able to visualize that. You can do a lot of this practice in your without your instrument in your hand. Visualize. Okay, so other things we can do. Transcription. And okay, here's another thing. Once you're learning how to transcribe and you're learning how to read, you're learning about notation and time signatures and key signatures, and you're learning all these things, write your own songs. Write your own pieces. Write your own melodies. Write them down. Go get a software. Write it down. Right? Compose an orchestra. Compose a piece. All right? Use it in real life. Nothing is going to get, you're not going to get anything out of something if you approach it from a dry perspective. Musical literacy is, it is an important thing. It is. Reading's not the only thing. And as I said, I would not necessarily, and I've said this before, I would not necessarily, if you only were practicing a half hour a day and you just want to play your favorite songs, you may not have to learn how to read. You know, Hendrix and the Beatles, they couldn't read. Lots of people couldn't. So, but when you had that investment in, you'll play with better musicians, you'll have more productive rehearsals, you'll play different kinds of music. It's just a better, for me, it was a better life. He gave me more opportunities, all that kind of stuff. Cool opportunities. Okay. So anyway, this is Rod. Hope I shedded some light on the old Mel Bay book. So get the Mel Bay book. You can get it on digital form too, off of the Mel Bay website. But do not practice anything in the style of that makes it feel boring. If it's boring, you're practicing it wrong. If it's boring, if your teacher gives it to you and you find it really boring, he's just approaching it the wrong way. There's plenty of things we can do to make this fun. All right? Being expressive, making it sound like something you'd want to listen to. When we play music, we don't just play lifeless and soulless. You can read with soul and life. Anyway, I'm done. I'm freestyling. It's not written down. It's just... Anyway, this is Rod. Boomer Guitar Sessions, episode 78. Making Mel Bay fun again. # Mel Bay. See you next time. Later. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.